Hi everybody, I'm Henry from ERA. Today is 27th of April and we are on the end of the 3rd weeks of the circuit breaker. For those who have missed our first series on Singapore Property Buyer Guide, you can find them on YouTube, Yoko and Tencent. You can also add me on this WhatsApp or WeChat scan code. Following the first series, we received many inquiries from our followers, and one of the key leading questions was what will be the future of Singapore private property capital gain for the next 10 years. Fast forward, are we still on track on Singapore property price to double by year 2030 as reported by Morgan Stanley in 2017? So does similar DBS report in the same year, and also reinstated by Morgan Stanley in October 2018, even after another cooling measure in July 2018. Do take note that the reports on doubling of capital gain by year 2030 is based on conservative bear status. Now shall we go to the basic. How does the demand and supply of Singapore private property affect its prices? There are two main parts of the future demand, namely quantity required and financial capabilities of the buyer. Firstly, let's look at the population growth of Singapore. As per government white paper report, the proposal is for the population to increase to 6.9 million by year 2030, and that translates to 1.1 million increase from about 5.9 million in year 2018. And with the existing or about 3.5 residents in each household, there will be additional requirement for 26,000 units of new houses annually. And with the past data and future prediction of Singapore birth rate been falling, we expect more foreigners to make up for the 1.1 million differences in population in order to achieve this target of 6.9 million by year 2030. Noting that foreigners can only buy private properties, and this expected influx of foreigners will account for a significant proportion of the demands for private properties. In this breakdown of the population of Singapore in year 2018, the non-residents of 1.6 million form about 10% of the whole population. Within this group, there is both increase of income and percentage increase in numbers of employment and S-pass holders. And this increase can impact on the housing demand for this group of pass holders too. On top of the increased demand due to population increase, let's break down the latter into changing demographic structures and how does it affect the private property demand. How does decreasing household size and increasing home ownership rates means to property demand? Definitely more units are required to hold the increase in home ownership and thus increase the demand for property. Let's summarize this household living arrangement in terms of couple with children, couple without children, and to living alone. In short, there is an increase on household due to licensed residents forming a household. The trend is family getting smaller, and these are partly due to the following. An increase of about 40% of numbers of singles for the past 10 years till 2018, and 100% up for divorcees. And with rising aging numbers, all these have resulted in more household formation, outpacing population growth, and thus much more demand on properties. Next, we shall move on with the ownership environment of HDB and private houses. There is a clear picture of HDB occupancy dropping and that of condominium rising. What does it mean to you? Many more buyers are looking for private property. And it is enhanced by this trend. The percentage of upgrader to condominium is much deeper than any other upgraders. Let's look at the future potential of this group of HDB upgraders, reaching MOP on the left chart, and its effect on the high increase in resales volume on the right-hand chart, colored in green. These have clearly shown that the latest have potentially increased private property demand. Added on with this increasing HDB millionaires, more HDB upgraders have the financial muscle to buy more or even higher end private properties. There are many reasons why more HDB upgraders have chosen private property, and one of them is private properties has much higher capital gain than HDB resale. Does the same apply to executive condominium upgraders too? Just analyze this easy going to MOP in 2020. There is an average unrealized profit of about 30%, and this could increase the demand for private property too. Let's move on housing income. For the past 17 years, it has risen by about 120%. That means each household will have additional 7% increase of annual income, and thus impact demand on the private property. And it has pushes the prices of private property up in the same period. We would also like to take this opportunity to include the recent en bloc and its impact on the demand of private property. The total compensation run into millions for each en bloc household. And how much is it in total? Yes, it's 20 billion additional en bloc money into the market, with an average of $3 million for each household. How much this additional hot money will be in the property market if these 7,000 displaced households need to find another house for own stay, or even more units for investment too. With the above demand factors and coupled with these additional factors of increasing land costs, the future properties prices will be pushed up further. Now, let's move on with the supply side and then compare later with the demand of the additional of 26,000 units. From this chart, you can see that the completed supply is heading south from year 2016. So how much supply of the private property for the past years and into the future? There's an average supply of about 10,000 units per annum for the past 17 years till year 2013. And the similar expected supply quantity from year 2018 till 2022. Housing supply is still below historic average and set to fall. And with the expected future demand of more than 26,000 units per annum, this housing supply and demand dynamics remains favorable. Many of our clients did ask what will happen if the government come with more cooling measure. We believe that will apply equally to both up and down cycle. If prices decline, the government will relax some of the property curbs, like the relaxation of the 4 years seller stamp duty to 3 years, and also the relaxation of the ABSD imposed on the developers. Thus, we anticipate a wave of capital inflows into the housing market, and future macro environment for Singapore private property market remains strong and good potential for capital gain. With this, we conclude today's presentation, which is the second of our series of buyer guide. For the third series, we shall be moving to more micro environment consideration. That will include how to select the right property rather than the timing. Take care and see you all soon.